Imagine waking up every morning with a heavy feeling in your chest, a quiet dread that today might bring yet another argument, another round of doubts planted in your mind, or another reminder that the love you once cherished feels contaminated by manipulation. You remember a time when your partner's affection lit up your world, when their every word felt like a gift and their presence made you believe in forever. But now, you sit at your kitchen table, rereading messages that somehow twist your words against you. In this fourth installment of our Narcissism in Love and Marriage series, we'll journey deep into the game of mental chess that narcissistic partners play, especially when you start suspecting you deserve more. By the time this video ends, you'll recognize how narcissists hijack your everyday routines, why leaving can feel impossible, and where your power truly lies if you decide to break free. If you've ever caught yourself pacing the living room at midnight, feeling trapped between guilt and resentment, wondering if it's all in your head, this video is specifically for you. Let's peel back the layers of confusion. Let's shine a light on those subtle interactions that keep you tethered in a loop of second-guessing. And if any part of this resonates, do me a favor, comment "I see the pattern" so others can see they're not alone. Because once you see the pattern, you realize there's an exit door behind the curtain the narcissist keeps drawing around you. Let's move through it, together. Let's begin with a real-life style story. Laura was a dynamic teacher. She loved her job, adored helping students discover their passion for reading. She also loved traveling. She'd hop onto a plane any chance she got. That's how she met Marc, who was giving a talk at an education conference in another country. Marc's wit and charm felt electric to Laura. He was successful in the education tech sphere, or so he claimed, and they found themselves enraptured in conversation about how to revolutionize teaching. Within months, they were engaged. Looking back, Laura would say it was too fast, but it felt so right. And in the early days, it was indeed magical: late-night coffees, brainstorming big projects they'd collaborate on, spontaneous weekend trips. But after their wedding, Laura noticed small ripples in that placid surface. He'd glance at her outfit before she left for work and say, "Wearing that again? Thought you'd step up your style for your students by now." He'd chuckle, but the criticism stung. Over the next months, Marc started to question her lesson plans, implying that her approach was outdated. When she'd talk about a new method that got her students excited, he'd retort, "Well, at my level, we aim for more scale. Not sure your approach works in the real world." In social settings with her teacher friends, he'd overshadow her anecdotes with his own achievements, making her feel trivial. She tried to shrug it off. He was high level, after all. But the gaslighting got sharper. "You really think your kids learned something from that silly project? Maybe you're naive, Laura, or too emotional to gauge success properly." Laura's heartbreak began like a hairline fracture. A mounting sense that she wasn't enough in his eyes. If ever she confronted him, Marc would spin it as her insecurities or her inability to handle big thinking. Slowly, her identity as a confident educator shifted to a woman who felt incompetent at home. The heartbreak? Realizing the bond that once inspired her world was actually built on illusions of partnership. Marc's brand of narcissism eroded her sense of self daily, leaving her more anxious, more apologetic, less certain about her expertise in the very subject she once championed. This heartbreak wasn't just about losing romance, it was about losing respect for herself. The piece we must highlight is that heartbreak triggered by narcissistic illusions doesn't just shatter your heart, it cracks open your self-esteem from the inside. Next, we'll decode how illusions form the bedrock of narcissistic relationships. How does a narcissist transform from your biggest cheerleader to your relentless critic? The key: illusions. Specifically, illusions that revolve around your potential as their perfect partner. In Laura's case, Marc's illusions first manifested in lavish praises. He adored how refreshingly unpretentious her approach to teaching was, her bold curiosity about the world. This honeymoon praise built the scaffolding for a grand illusion, that he genuinely celebrated her independence. But illusions in a narcissistic dynamic are rarely stable. They require your unwavering compliance. Once they see you as theirs, they must mold you into whatever shape best serves their ego. If, like Laura, you remain yourself, someone with your own style, your own thoughts, they see it as betrayal. The illusions crack. Feeling threatened, they scramble to reassert dominance. They sow self-doubt, criticizing your unique style or approach, pushing you to make changes they deem correct. Now, illusions also serve the narcissist's fear of being unremarkable. These illusions paint them as an extraordinary partner, a visionary, a deep thinker. But it's all reflection-based, a strategy to keep you enthralled. Once you stop playing along, and heartbreak sets in because you see their emotional manipulation for what it is, they pivot, the illusions become negative illusions about you. Not only do they stop praising you, they also begin rewriting your narrative as incompetent, unappealing, or unworthy. That's the heartbreak, right there. The person who once revered you now sees you as lesser. At this juncture, heartbreak might tempt you to confront them, to prove your worth. You might, for instance, recount the endless nights you poured over new lesson plans if you're Laura, or the personal sacrifices you made. But this rarely yields empathy or reflection from the narcissist. Instead, it triggers further illusions, gaslighting illusions, illusions that you're the real problem or that your heartbreak is an overreaction. And if you're not anchored in self-trust, heartbreak can make you consider their illusions as reality. So you might be asking, is heartbreak inevitable with a narcissist? Largely, yes, unless they're in real therapy and have an epiphany, which is extremely rare. However, heartbreak can be mitigated or reversed if you identify illusions early. That's what we'll explore in the next part, how heartbreak can become the impetus for you to break illusions of your own, like the illusions that maybe they'll change, or that this heartbreak is all my fault. Let's move on to how heartbreak can become your wake-up call. A wise friend once said, sometimes heartbreak is the only thing loud enough to break the spell of illusions we didn't even know we were living under. Indeed, heartbreak triggered by a narcissistic partner can bring a unique brand of grief. You're not just mourning the relationship, you're mourning who you were before they systematically undermined your confidence, your decisions, even your worldview. Think of heartbreak like a bright neon arrow pointing to all the ways you were never fully seen in that relationship. For a while, heartbreak can feel all-encompassing, like a fog that dulls every sensation. Yet heartbreak can also highlight the small victories you forgot about, every time you overcame one of their manipulations, every time you momentarily reclaimed your sense of humor or your identity. Heartbreak, ironically, can remind you that you had a sense of self to lose in the first place. Now, heartbreak can metamorphose into resilience once you realize you hold the pen to your narrative. On that note, consider a widely known scenario. Pop singer Adele spoke openly about heartbreak fueling her artistic brilliance. She used her heartbreak not to remain in sorrow, but to birth music that resonated with millions. While she never described her ex as specifically narcissistic, the heartbreak pattern still stands. Heartbreak can lead to clarity about your real emotional compass. Yes, heartbreak from narcissistic illusions is particularly acute. The illusions amplify your sense of betrayal, like you were tricked, compounding the sense of personal failure. But heartbreak also fosters a clarity. If you can see that this heartbreak stems from illusions, you can refuse to accept them any longer. In the next part, we'll address practical strategies to dismantle illusions in the thick of heartbreak. But for now, if you realize heartbreak is your teacher, a somewhat cruel but instructive teacher, just comment "Heartbreak, I see you, and I'm learning." Because your heartbreak might well be the beginning of your liberation. When heartbreak hits, illusions can swirl, leaving you in an emotional labyrinth. Let's break down a few strategies for confronting heartbreak head-on and gradually dissolving those illusions. Name the illusions. Start a heartbreak journal. Divide a page into 2 columns. Left column, illusions you once believed. They valued my profession as a teacher, they liked my independence. Right column, the reality you've observed. They ridiculed my ideas, they tried to isolate me from colleagues. Seeing illusions side by side with reality is heartbreak in raw form, but also clarifying. Micromanage contact. If you have to interact, maybe for child-related reasons or shared finances. Keep it to bullet points, no emotional content. Heartbreak intensifies if you open a window for more illusions. Something like, pick up at 3:30 p.m., final. No further details needed. The heartbreak might scream for closure, but illusions love a chatty environment. Resist. Create a heartbreak exit plan, build a day-to-day structure that fosters your sense of direction. Put heartbreak healing tasks like journaling, quick therapy exercises, or supportive friend calls on your calendar. This is not trivial. It's an active design of your new routine. Remember, heartbreak thrives on an aimless mind. So aim yourself. Set a key mantra, something short but potent, like, my heartbreak is proof I once cared, but illusions no longer hold me. Repeat it when you sense yourself slipping into rumination. It's not just self-talk, it's a command to your brain to pivot from illusions to self-affirmation. Seek external validation cautiously. Heartbreak might push you to overshare or frantically look for people who say, yes, you're right. They're awful. Yet illusions can creep back in if we rely too heavily on external input. Carefully choose a handful of safe, empathetic confidants or a professional counselor. Avoid broadcasting heartbreak to the masses. It can feed gossip circles or, worse, become a channel for the narcissist to re-inject illusions. Creative expression, from painting to cooking to crocheting, heartbreak can be harnessed to produce something symbolic or tangible. By externalizing your heartbreak, you reduce its power within you. Something as simple as doodling swirling lines and labeling them as thoughts that are illusions can create surprising emotional breakthroughs. At a deeper level, heartbreak is an energy. If you don't channel it, illusions remain stuck, swirling in your mental bloodstream. Following even one or two of these strategies can help you move from heartbreak's confusion to heartbreak's clarity. Next, we'll re-examine the heartbreak illusions that can stick around if you let them, and how to extinguish them for good. You might think heartbreak ends once you physically leave or once you label them narcissistic. But illusions can linger in your psyche well beyond that point. These illusions include the "what if I overreacted" illusion. It creeps in when heartbreak softens your memory of their abuse. You romanticize the beginning, forgetting how consistent the manipulation was. The "maybe they'll finally change" illusion. The heartbreak triggered by your leaving might ironically tempt them to make grand gestures of change. But remember, illusions are their specialty. Sincere change is painfully rare. The "I ruined something potentially good" illusion. Heartbreak is fused with guilt. Did you sabotage the relationship by not being more patient? Did your heartbreak overshadow your sense of logic? No. You responded to repeated microabuses. The "I must earn my freedom" illusion. People with heartbreak sometimes feel like they must endure punishment or prove something to be free. Actually, heartbreak is enough of a cost. You owe nothing further. So how do you effectively extinguish these illusions? Remind yourself of the full timeline. Keep a chronological list of events that made you walk. The heartbreak might warp your memory, focusing on sweet moments, but that timeline keeps it real. Practice self-compassion, not self-justification. You're not obligated to justify heartbreak to all. If you want to share, do it with a personal therapist or a close friend. Over-explaining may reignite illusions. Reconnect with pre-heartbreak ambitions. Ask, what dreams did I have before all this? Did I want to publish a short story? Start a garden? Travel to New Zealand? Let heartbreak push you to reclaim those ambitions. Monitor re-exposure. If you see them or talk to them, even fleeting illusions can reawaken heartbreak. A phone call or a text can ripple heartbreak waves for days. So keep contact minimal, direct, and if possible, planned. Now heartbreak is a shapeshifter. One day you feel resolved, the next day a memory surfaces, fueling heartbreak anew. But illusions lose strength with every day you choose clarity over confusion, self-trust over second-guessing. In the final segment, we'll integrate all of this, reinforcing that heartbreak from a narcissist, while uniquely agonizing, is also distinctly surmountable. As we reach the close of this deep exploration into heartbreak in narcissistic relationships, let's step back and see the bigger picture. Narcissistic illusions revolve around control, validation, and intimidation. Heartbreak in this setting isn't just heartbreak over lost love, it's heartbreak over lost illusions you once believed were mutual or real. Realizing the illusions exist can feel like an emotional ambush, but it can also be the first step towards self-liberation. If you're in heartbreak right now, I encourage you to hold on to a single truth: heartbreak in a narcissistic dynamic can be more than just the end of a relationship, it can be the beginning of you forging a path unburdened by unrealistic demands, manipulations, and self-doubt. You do not need to remain crushed under illusions. The heartbreak is your body and soul screaming for authenticity, for a return to who you genuinely are. Thank you for spending these minutes with me, for opening your heart to these truths and letting me speak to your heartbreak. If you found genuine insights here, do me a small favor, hit that like button right now. It tells the algorithm and me that this conversation matters. And if you crave more healing strategies or more clarity about the intangible heartbreak that narcissistic illusions bring, go ahead and subscribe. In the comments section, share just one belief about love you plan to reclaim. Something simple like, love shouldn't require losing myself. Because heartbreak or not, you have every right to expect a love that nurtures, not diminishes. Let heartbreak be your signpost, pointing you toward a future shaped by your values, your voice, and your unshakable sense of self. Thank you again, and remember, heartbreak does not define you, how you rise after heartbreak does.